You know what time it is.
It's Couch Time with Sonja. Let's go! Hello, I'm Sonja Lowe, and that's Sonja with a J. And welcome to Couch Time with Sonja. And this is my beautiful, funny, and Harley riding sister, Delia Cortez.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Today's episode 4, can you believe it?
4 already?
No. Today's episode is definitely for each person watching. Why? Do you dream of doing something innovative? Do you have a desire or a goal to create something? Are you looking for answers? I believe that our guest today will definitely help you in that area.
So today they're going to give you some avenues, where to go, where to start, some ideas to keep you moving forward in your dream.
So grab a cup of coffee or tea,
I'm grabbing
and
mine.
we'll be right back.
CEO Jalea Davis is making history by becoming the youngest African American female to own a television station in the nation. Along with her colleague, President Crystal Holmes, these women are becoming a part of the 1.3% African American television station ownership. Get ready for iconic television, an all-new channel coming to your TV on KVVV channel 15.10. Covering Houston's local inspiration, entertainment, health, wellness, fitness, family, visual artists, comedians, and more. Streaming 24/7 on iconictelevision.com. Be sure to stay tuned for the latest and greatest on Iconic Television, where everyone can be iconic.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. You've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world. We can help.
Now they're Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonja.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
Welcome back. We are joined on the couch today with Mr. Michael Deshawn, and we're so excited you're here.
Thank you for being here. It
Thank you
truly
for
is a
having
pleasure
me.
to have you here on the couch.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on the couch.
Yes, thanks.
Definitely.
Well, we know that we know a little bit about you, but we know that our viewers do not. So we'd love for you to just share a little bit about who is Michael Deshawn.
Right. Well, certainly have a pretty extensive history working in the community for about 25 years. From the Midwest, come from very humble beginnings, a single parent household, loved my mother, God rest her soul, but was my best friend, raised my 2 younger brothers and myself to be responsible men in our community, and we've carried that on quite extensively in the different roles that we've been fortunate to play in our community, one of which I was afforded the great opportunity to found a radio station in our city in the Midwest, in Iowa, and we've been broadcasting for 14 years.
Congratulations.
Amazing opportunity, no doubt. But something that we were able to put in place to help give voice to our community, to give voice to people who wouldn't otherwise have the ability to convey their message. We've covered a lot of areas of giving people vehicles with regard to talent. I've done a lot along the lines I was sharing, I think, with you.
I was just gonna share that with the viewers.
Right.
I'm gonna share it in Spanish, just to give them a little idea.
That's good.
So este señor tiene una estación de radio que era el primero para la comunidad latina.
Okay.
So I just shared with them that it was the first radio for the Latin community.
Yes, we opened up the doors. We wanted to be as diverse as possible, particularly to our communities. And we allowed for a all Spanish-speaking kind of radio show, and that was the first of its kind in our area.
That was groundbreaking. Thank you so much.
Very proud.
From the Latin community, I thank you.
Definitely.
Exactly
It was
right.
our honor and pleasure and obligation, I would say. Additionally, it opened up doors for the Latin community where they actually ended up starting their own radio station, and they have a successful radio station in that area as well. So it was definitely an honor and a privilege, and we take a lot of pride in being able to say we helped facilitate that.
I heard him say something. I heard you say your mother, and
Right.
God rest her soul.
Yes, right.
So what I hear sounding loud and clear is legacy.
Absolutely.
You are a walking legacy.
Yeah.
She shines through you.
She was a very, very strong woman. We've certainly had our struggles. She had her struggles, humble beginnings, but strong woman, very noted in our community. And we as her sons, my two younger brothers and myself, people often refer to her when they reflect upon what we're doing in the community and how proud she would be of us because of the things that we're doing to give back to our community.
Well, we're honored to have you on the couch today.
I am honored to be here. This is a wonderful opportunity, no
Thanks.
doubt.
You know, as a mother, I dream of the day that I will be celebrating the things my sons are doing for the community. I'm proud of them now,
Yes.
but I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. I'm
Absolutely.
sure that your mother looks down and just smiles.
Yes.
Yeah, I was always taught that our heaven lies at the foot of mother. And unfortunately, we live in communities sometimes where we have broken families.
Yes, it's truth.
But when you have a strong mother who puts in that hard work to make us men, I mean, which is difficult in and of itself, just the natural nature of a woman having to make
Yes.
young men to be responsible, gargantuan task. So I have a great deal of respect for women who plant those seeds and work in that way, but also for us fathers who are also carrying the torch today. And we need to celebrate more of that these days.
I totally agree with you.
And I was going to share with you, I was raised by a single father.
Okay.
And he
Awesome.
raised me to be a strong, independent woman.
Right.
But he had his work cut out because he was a man.
Right.
And so it had its
Definitely.
challenges. So I completely understand. And
Definitely.
like you, I always give honor to my father.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
so-
you're doing some amazing things in this community and even in the community of Iowa as well.
right.
But we would love to hear a little bit more. You have some epic things going on.
yeah.
And so share with us some things that are going on right now that are truly epic.
Well, I'm very fortunate to have met a really wonderful person in this community over the past 3 years working. I also am a photographer, professional photographer. I shoot weddings and other things. So I shoot event photography, and I was actually shooting at an event in Chicago, actually Detroit. And I had the great opportunity of meeting the CEO of this New World Epicenter, of course, of which we are in at this point. And wonderful, wonderful human being with a lot of vision in terms of creating opportunities for other people, creating ecosystem for people who wouldn't otherwise have access to certain technologies and creative spaces to be able to have that platform and express their natural gifts and talents and contribute. So I'm part of a process that is really, magnanimous in its scope. This New World Epicenter, this ecosystem that we are creating that deals with technology and a space that allows for really a lot of the STEM-related things to be exercised and people to really offer a major contribution to the world. And so there's a lot more than I could share, but some things I'll leave it to the CEO to
Yes,
share when
we
he comes
totally
to talk to
understand
you.
that.
Yeah.
Totally understand
Yeah.
that. Well, it's history breaking. It's groundbreaking,
Yes.
and that's what's so exciting is that
Yes.
we're actually sitting here
Yeah.
recording
Yes.
in the epicenter. You know,
Yes.
the New World epicenter,
Yes.
and it is beautiful, but it's amazing
Right.
what you are doing
Yeah.
in and around the world, because it's not just local.
Right.
It's international as well.
Absolutely. You know, there's I know you don't mind me sharing the scripture,
No.
but the thought comes to mind that a people without vision will perish. And
yes.
where there's no vision,
Where
people,
there's
will,
no vision.
people will perish. So we have to have vision today. You know, we talk about the term new. You know, behold, I make all things new, right?
Yes.
And so we have to have a new frame of mind. We can't put a new wine in old wine
Right.
skin. So I'm getting a little biblical
Come
on you,
on, that's
but,
all right.
but I think we
We'll
can
take
talk
that.
on this
Yes.
level,
Yes.
right? We have to create a space in our society and believe in such a way that we can pour a new energy and stop focusing on so much negativity that exists in our community. Of course, the negativity is there, but if our focus and our energy is just on the negative, then where's the space for the positive? Where's the space for innovation and growth and development?
Yes.
So one of the things that we're doing here is providing a space. We're creating our own space and creating a culture where people can come and you can feel it. You can already feel it. And
Yes.
we're still working. There's a lot of
Yes.
work yet to be done in terms of structurally, but the energy and the mind behind it is such that people can automatically just kind of zen, if you will, into their creative energies. Yeah.
So awesome.
Well, you have so much knowledge, so much experience.
Thank you.
So before we leave, what would you like to leave to those that are out there chasing their dream, that those with that entrepreneurial spirit that are feeling maybe a little defeated or not
Yes.
sure where to go? What would you leave them to encourage them?
Right. One, never give up on your dream. Never allow anybody to defer or to tell you what you are
That's
or
good.
not.
Yes.
You know,
That's good.
believe in yourself. Believe in the God in whatever way that you believe. Put one foot in front of the other. Continue to improve and educate yourself along the lines of that which you're trying to achieve. I think of Paul again. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No,
I
don't be
reference
sorry.
scripture. But, you know, he said that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things yet unseen. So you have to have faith in yourself, faith in your vision, and continue to drive. Continue to drive. Surround yourself with people of like-mindedness,
Yes.
people who are committed, who want to see you win, who provide good critique, good energy. Those are essential, you know. And remove from your energy the people who are negative and who don't have the appropriate frame of mind to be in your company. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we truly thank you for
Yes,
taking
thank
time to come and sit with us on the couch, but just sharing your wisdom and
you.
really sharing from your heart.
Thank you.
And we truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
So, para ustedes que están escuchando, sigan con sus sueños. No dejen de parar de lo que quieran hacer. Ustedes pueden hacerlo.
We want you to understand and know that you heard Michael say, don't let anyone squash your dream. What is the thing that we say at Couch Time with Sonja? Don't shrink for anyone. We hope and pray that you've enjoyed this segment, and remember, share it with all of your friends. Why? Because everyone has a dream. We'll be right back. If you would like to be a guest or advertise your business on Couch Time with Sonja, I would love to hear from you. Email me. Visit couchtimewithsonya.com.
One of the most important events in life is having a baby. The closest hospital may not be the best choice for your family. Now, there's Stork Advisor. With Stork Advisor, you can keep your loved ones informed. There's a labor alert right at your fingertips. Stork Advisor even offers you a different pregnancy tip every day. After you've had your baby, tell us about your experience and leave a Stork rating. We want to keep other expecting families like you informed. With Stork Advisor, you can know what to expect when you're expecting.
Connect with fellow millennials, creatives, professionals, and entrepreneurs within the all-new millennial community. Join in and get connected with local events, volunteer opportunities, and mentorship programs with the next generation. For more information, visit themillennialcommunity.com and become a member today. Membership includes access to special events, networking events, and civic engagement opportunities. Check out our online calendar for upcoming event opportunities, such as Millennial Think Tanks, community building events, the new Sea Live experience, and much more. Members will also be invited to join an online membership group, have opportunities to pair with local students in the Houston community for mentorship programs. Follow us on all social media platforms and get connected with the Millennial Community today.
Welcome back. We are so excited. We have sitting on the couch with us today, Mr. Andre Amos. We thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come
Thank you for
visit us.
having me. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you on the couch.
Thank you for having me again.
Well, I want to dive right in.
Yes.
I want to get to know who Andre is. We have a segment on Couch Time with Sonja that actually says your story matters, and your story does matter. And we want our viewers to get to hear a little bit about who is Andre and what's your story.
Well, I originated from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. And I guess growing up in Indianapolis, just like almost anywhere, but the Midwest has its own kind of culture. We were pitted with, a set of struggles being a child of a single parent mom. And so just like a lot of folks here in America, trying to come up and develop ways to aid my mother and aid my family. I went through a series of different phases in my life, and by the grace of God, we've been able to have a measure of success in doing so. But I think earlier on, I was really had a ton of impressions that were from my mother and my family, predominantly my grandmother, that kind of pushed me down a path of entrepreneurship. And so some of the earliest phases of entrepreneurship that I encountered, I think namely my grandmother spent a lot of time like going to flea markets, buying goods. I learned how to identify like really great collectibles, like fine china, porcelain, but it made me pay attention to detail, and it made me see that there was opportunity, even in what people would consider trash or what they were getting rid of. And so I think it was with that particular vantage point that I kind of engaged in my whole path of entrepreneurship, and I think I started having a unique knack to be able to identify value in things that people seeing no value in. And so I think some of my first earliest investments or engagement in entrepreneurship, I think initially when I was in grade school, I started out buying and building bikes. So I would go out with my grandmother, we would go to the garage sales or the yard sales. I would pick up bikes and then I would rebuild them and then sell them. That became actually really successful. I kind of grew into, I was selling, high-end bikes for like $400, $500.
Now, how old were you at that point?
I was maybe 10 and 11, yeah.
So truly, from the beginning, you had this entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, yeah, I think definitely, again, I definitely want to give credit, inspired by my grandmother and my mother.
Yes, legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy.
So from there, I kind of continued to grow, and by high school, I don't know, I was kind of like a pawn shop. I made sure that whatever monies I would make, I had cut hair as well, but people would come and buy whatever goods that they had to sell, I would buy. So at that time period, I was a young teenager, so I was buying car stereos, rims, you name it, whatever, and then I would turn around and resell it. And from there, I grew into trying to get into real estate. I think like a lot of folks at that time, Carlton Sheets was big on television. I didn't have the money to buy the package,
Of course.
but I would listen to the infomercial thoroughly, and I got the general concept of what was going on. But still, prior to that, I still recognized I needed to be able to raise a little capital to do so. So I got into merchandising. I sold, you name it. Honestly, I sold from watches to purses, just whatever products I could sell. I think early on, I started realizing that there was a high level of value for intelligence, and some of that intelligence came in the form of information. And so early on, whenever I would go to buy goods, whether I went to Chicago or New York to buy products wholesale, I realized that, always being, where I was positioned at in the deal dictated everything and the whole future of that endeavor. So I learned to try to place myself in the highest position or the best position possible at the early onset of the deal. So when I would go to a place like Chicago, that was the first place I initiated that process. The wholesaler that was selling to me, before we actually established a relationship, I would ask them, what would it cost for me to actually gain the information that you have? And so with them feeling like they have nothing to lose at that point,
Right.
because I'm not a paying customer,
Exactly.
I was always able to offer them something, and they would actually give me some of the direct information, but it cost me. I think at one point when I took out a student loan to do it, I had maybe $2,500. I went up to New York, and I went to the wholesaler again, and I asked him, what is it going to cost for me? And essentially he was saying everything in my pocket. And at that point I had to make a decision. Again, I wanted the intel. The intel was more important than just the goods. And so I told him I would give him everything I had except for gas money back. And he took it. I walked away with a phone number, and I went back. But it took me around 3 months to actually gain or gather up more funds to go back up to New York. But by the time I went back up with a couple grand, I came back. I was able to make $10,000 that first week. Subsequently, went back up and came back. I became the same position that they had, where I could wholesale, and I was doing maybe $25,000 a week from there forward.
With that right there, did you hear that? The progression, but it was about the intelligence, not the product. We're going to take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back to continue with Andre. And then there was life. Born to color outside the lines. Born for such a time as this. You showed up on the planet to produce a dream. You, yes you, were born with purpose, with words. Friends, imagine that your dreams can become your reality by the words you speak. It all starts today. It starts with you. Creation, formation, transformation, all begin with change. The battle is in your mind, but your voice is your weapon. Speak life, believe, prosperity, creative, daring. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Your future is unwritten. Let's begin writing today. Your words create your world.
One of the most important events in life is having a baby. The closest hospital may not be the best choice for your family. Now, there's Stork Advisor. With Stork Advisor, you can keep your loved ones informed. There's a labor alert right at your fingertips. Stork Advisor even offers you a pregnancy tip every day. After you've had your baby, tell us about your experience and leave a Stork rating. We want to keep other expecting families like you informed. With Stork Advisor, you can know what to expect when you're expecting.
Welcome back. We continue our segment with special guest Andre Amos, and he is going to continue his conversation with you about getting to where he is today. So as we continue, I'm gonna go back to what you said before. How did you get out of that fearful moment of moving forward, not knowing what was on the other side?
I think, the fact that you highlight that point, I think that's the biggest area that most people have to get over and conquer in order to, fulfill whatever they have inside of them, their dreams, their vision, their passion, is fear. Right. And one, it was definitely a great assistant, kind of witnessing my grandparents, my grandmother specifically, and my mom, because she was an entrepreneur as well. Being able to go out and pioneer in the entrepreneurship space and having enough courage to do so kind of witnessing it was a significant thing. But at one point, I remember I had to come to a point within myself, honestly, where I had to determine whether I was going to be an entrepreneur and be full-fledged entrepreneur, or was I going to continue to be the quasi-entrepreneur? Mm-hmm. And it was in me, and I got to really pay attention to myself, that during the States, people would think, and it would sound like I would profess that I was bona fide, I'm just an entrepreneur. I wasn't doing anything else but entrepreneurship. But honestly, at the time, my girlfriend, she would whisper and say, why don't you go get some benefits? All right, why don't you get a job with some benefits? You're a smart guy. They're offering you all these big jobs. She was a school teacher. And so I would start questioning myself, despite what I would say verbally.
That's so good.
And I think it was that subtle doubt that was compromising all my efforts, because I was never absolute in what I did. And I came to a point where, despite day in and day out, I did entrepreneurship and didn't have a job. Again, I had to come to the reckoning and to a realization within myself that I'm going to have to be whatever I'm going to be. And so I had to determine whether I was going to pursue a life of trying to find a career, or was I going to try to be a true bona fide entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And at one point, I came to a consensus within myself, and I said that I'm going to be, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to be an entrepreneur or die. Honestly, that was, I said, in the process. And I said I would have to be concrete and satisfied with the end result. And so it was when I became absolute in my stance, in my position, in myself, even though it meant potentially compromising. I lost my apartment. I became as close to homeless as you can get. I guess I probably was homeless because I was staying with my cousin at the time. But I was 100% absolute. So there was no going back. So it's an analogy that I've heard. It's a story of a Moroccan leader. And he was a military leader. And they went to fight, and they had conquered, and they got to a certain point. And then at some point, they all had to get on the ships and then crusade over to another land. And so when they landed on the other land, they realized that their opposition was way bigger than what their military force or strength was. And so what the leader, the general, he instructed for a group to go back and burn the boats. Right? And so they had no more option to go back. Right? So they absolutely knew that in order for them to live, they had to go forward. And it was when they done that, they ended up actually miraculously conquering and beating their opposition, despite their numbers. And so it was kind of like that type of position psychologically. Once you become absolute and you don't give yourself a fallback, you're going to go through bumps, you're going to go through, but you're not going to die. And that's what you
Right.
realize. You'll actually make it, you'll actually survive. And all those other key components that you find and learn in those subtle failures. Those are the best educators. I was speaking about how you need a particular type of intelligence, but some of those intelligences are only gained in these subtle, apparent failures, but they're really just, education opportunities.
So good.
And so,
So there was something that sounds very similar to what you said. Our pastor said this past weekend was, when you fall, because we're all going to fall at one point, make sure you fall forward so you're further ahead than when you started.
That's
Even though
beautiful.
you fell,
yeah,
you fell forward. Now get up one step ahead and keep going.
that's beautiful.
So that's basically what you're saying.
That's totally. I think I was privileged to be able to hear you were a pastor at that time, but you speak in my life.
Yes.
Really, the more I could understand how to fall correctly.
Yes.
That's good.
There's nothing. There's no problem in failure. Those are the prerequisites to major success.
Right.
So the more I could embrace that correctly and understand it from the right position, it was definitely beneficial to me getting here today.
Well, you talked about embracing. You have a vision and you have purpose for your life. And of course, that brings us to where we are today with your vision and your passion and purpose to where we're sitting right here,
Yes.
being able to record in this beautiful center. We want you to talk about really your passion, your vision, where you're going for the future in creating New World and the Epicenter.
Well, even pulling off of some of my past, I kind of witnessed and recognized the same position I found myself in, that there's millions of other people find themselves in the exact same position, and that is, trying to find yourself, trying to find out how to harness your dreams and your visions and bring them into fruition. And so at this stage of my life, we're really, I'm trying to figure out, and we're trying to establish a path to create a space, and this is what the essence of the whole New World Epicenter is. It's an incubation space where individuals can farm their genius. They can start cultivating, their dreams, and they can have the tools, resources, education, and backing to actually facilitate that. So in doing or creating that ecosystem, we wanted to include everything possible for an individual to self-discover and to self-initiate, what they were trying to achieve. And so the essence of everything that we did is a completely self-funded project, and that was a key and a core point that we wanted to make, and that was to make sure that we had control over the whole ordeal. There's nothing wrong with having a nonprofit or having something where you have a whole host of investors, because we teach and we understand that concept. But from what we were trying to achieve, we wanted to make sure that we could be unbridled in reference to what we were able to present and offer to the community, hands down. And we wanted to be able to share some direct paths, direct truths to empower people from whatever position they come from. It doesn't matter what position. If you don't have college, if you do have a little college, or if you have a whole lot of college or education, there's always still some alternative routes that you can make. You can about face, and you could totally recreate yourself, in a moment. And so
awesome. Well, we thank you for the opportunity you've extended to us. So we are what we call a birth of that as well. So thank you
really.
for that.
It is beautiful here, your decor, the entire building. It is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. We definitely have been working hard trying to achieve it.
Yes.
So not finished yet, right?
No, we have a lot of work to go do. The facility is a 120,000 square foot facility. We're dedicating the greater portion of it for kind of like the common use area. We want to equip it with a gym, a full, complete gym, full, complete media center, event space, tons of collaborative rooms. One of the big things that we're trying to make sure that happens is that we create a space where you can have some really targeted collisions And that is where you can have people from the creative space, people from a technological space, people from a financial space that can bring resources, and they all kind of collide in the same space. And now they can cross-pollinate their gifts, their resources, their talents, their partnerships and relationships, so that people can get what they need when they need it. And a lot of times, if we can offset costs just because you establish a relationship, that means everything. A lot of times people's budgets are really more so associated in trying to pay staff, and so if you can find a space where you can get all the resources in a centralized location, and you could maybe barter or share your talents, we think that's a more effective path in producing those type of businesses and those type of individuals that we've invested into.
I truly would say an innovation specialist. I
Yes.
would definitely say that.
Yes, that is a theme that we have.
Before we come back, we're going to take a quick break because we're going to have Andre actually leave us with a nugget. So grab your coffee or your tea, and we'll be right back.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. You've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world. We can help.
Now there's Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonja.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Corner with your boy, Fred Vernon. So let's hop right into it. I want to talk today on this episode about increasing profits. There's two ways to increase profits. A, by cutting expenses, or B, increasing revenue while maintaining the same amount of expenses. So let's dive right in. Expenses. Expenses are a tricky subject in that if expenses are not identified, controlled, and managed, they can easily get out of hand. So let's look at it this way. Expenses first need to be identified if you want to increase your profitability. Let's say you're owner of a company that's making $1 million a year on the top line, but your expenses are $500,000 a year. If you want to increase profitability, the only thing you need to do is not necessarily increase revenue. However, you can increase your profitability by simply cutting your expenses. So let's look at identifying expenses. It's impossible to cut an expense if you don't know it's there. So the first thing you need to identify the expense. The next thing you need to do is to control the expense. Controlling the expense is more so associated with how much of that expense you're actually accruing from week to week or month to month. So you want to make sure it's controlled. And then lastly, once your expenses have been identified, controlled, then you want to manage them. That's more so when they're paid. So if your collections are coming in every 30 days, then you maybe want to stretch your expenses out and manage them and pay them every 45 days. That will increase your cash flow and potentially your profitability if you're controlling those expenses as well as managing them. Next, you want to look at your revenue. Let's increase that revenue by still maintaining the same expenses and profit margins. So if you can do that, that will allow you to increase your bottom line and potentially your cash flow as well. Keep in mind also, just because you increase revenue and your expenses typically may correlate with that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll increase profit. So when increasing revenue, you want to keep your expenses the same. This will directly translate into profitability on your bottom line. So let's control those expenses and increase that revenue while maintaining the same expense amount. And you'll see profitability added to your bottom line. Thank you. See you again on the next episode of the Entrepreneur's Corner.
We're back. We're now going to conclude our conversation with Mr. Amos. I want to leave our guest with some nuggets. So we'd love for you to speak directly to our viewers on what nugget would you leave them with today that will definitely not only begin where they are today, but lead them into the future.
I guess I would definitely love to tell your audience to dream big. Never let go and continue to pursue your dreams. But in order to facilitate your dreams, I like to leave you kind of with an analogy. There's a concept that I preach called liftoff, or achieving lift, and it's the analogy of a plane. And what a lot of folks don't realize is that even when you look at a plane in comparison with your life, you have to create enough space or runway in order for you to get flight or take flight. And so all the way down to making sure that you get rid of whatever extra baggage that's on the plane. When you look at a plane, in order for it to take off, it has to be at a particular weight. So it is with your life. You have to make sure that some of the extra things that you have in your life that are cluttering or just becoming too weighty, you want to make sure you remove those things so that you can kind of help facilitate and pursue your dream. And creating enough space in your life, taking some time out, identifying what is it going to take to facilitate your goals. There's always a particular cost in order to achieve it. If you don't identify that cost, it's going to be impossible for you to actually make the payment to achieve it. So identifying what the cost is, and a lot of times it may be the requirement of removing certain people out of your life, certain things out of your life, and sometimes it means that you got to actually get rid of some of the excessive overhead so that you could have the time to cultivate yourself. The biggest commodity is really the human commodity, is yourself. So you have to be able to invest into yourself, and then again, getting enough velocity so that you can actually take flight. And so having enough pathway and having enough runway in order to achieve it. So hopefully that makes a little sense for you and your audience.
That makes great sense to us. What a valuable nugget. We thank you for sharing, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you for actually having me.
Appreciate it.
Really.
What we want you to know is that we need you to always remember, never quit. The one thing that we want you to take to heart is that dream big, never shrink for anyone. If you want to know more information about the New World Epicenter, it's on the screen. Make sure you reach out and find out if there's a place for you. Keep up with us on all of our social media outlets. Make sure that you look for us on YouTube. Make sure you look for us on Facebook and Instagram. That's Couch Time with Sonja, Sonja with a J.com is our website. We hope to see you next week with our next episode. You want to be watching because it's going to be good. Have a blessed week.
Y para todos, sigan con sus sueños. Adiós.